Hello, welcome to my look at Mute Crimson Plus and a discussion on platformer game design. First, let me start off by saying this is not a review. If you want my review, it's a good game and go buy it. This is more of a design discussion on platformer game design and a lot of the things that I think Mute Crimson Plus does really, really well. Mute Crimson Plus is a throwback to a NES-era action platformer, not unlike Ninja Gaiden. You can very much see in the style, the art, and the cutscenes, and the moveset, this game has a lot in common with Ninja Gaiden. Interesting fun fact, I never finished Mute Crimson when it came out on Xbox Live Indie Games in 2011. I have not finished the Steam version, and nor have I finished Ninja Gaiden. I love these games, but I just never get to the final levels. Just to personally round out my experience with this game, I played it when it came back on Xbox Live Indie Games, when it came out in March, I believe, of 2011. And that year it made my top 10 list for games released in 2011 on Xbox Live Indie Games. It came in at number 3. I've also interviewed the developer on our Game Marks podcast and sort of stayed in touch with him over the years, so can't call me completely unbiased, but this is not, again, a review of the game. This is just more of a discussion of the design mechanics as they apply to this platformer. The first thing when you're trying to make an action platformer game is tight controls, and of course Mute Crimson has very tight controls. What does that actually mean, though? I think when people say tight controls, what they mean is immediate response controls, that the frame in which I push the button is the frame in which the character acts. There's no delay. For a developer, I think this means you really can't rely on a physics engine to move your character. And probably anything else in the game. If you're going to go this route, physics engines might be more hassle than they're worth. You might need to just get down in there and do frame-by-frame level control and inputs and make them immediately responsive. That's what's expected in this genre. One of the things that makes Mute Crimson really well, and one of the reasons I gravitate towards it, even though I'm not that excellent at these type of games, is the liberal checkpointing throughout the game. You're never playing a long section of the game over and over again. And I think this is very, very key to these type of games if they're going to appeal to more than just a very hardcore niche. You need to have a way to restart a part of a level. And the other thing that Mute Crimson does really well in this restarting is the speed of death and reloading is instant. Because I'm going to die a lot, I don't want to spend a lot of time looking at a load screen or waiting for things to reset. If I can just pop back in and try again, and again, and again, and probably again, that will keep me trying. And if I know I really don't have to beat the level so much as I just have to get to this checkpoint, which I can almost see because they're so liberally spread throughout the level, that strings me along and keeps me engaged and interesting. Whereas if I die toward the end of the level and reset, one thing Ninja Gaiden does famously is in the final level, if you die at the final boss, you replay the entire final level over, and that includes all the 3 sub-levels to get up to the final boss, and that's just where I just threw it out. Another nice thing that Mute Crimson does really well in its design, and I think is excellent, is bonus collectibles. And these bonus collectibles just sort of pull you into doing something a little bit more risky, more dangerous than you would otherwise. You wouldn't try any of these moves if there wasn't a shiny gold coin there beckoning for you to collect it. And I think it adds a lot of fun to the game because it encourages you not only to take some risks that you wouldn't have normally take, but also stretch your understanding of the mechanics that you have at your disposal and how they can be used, which will help you later in the game. So I think bonus collectibles are something that the game does really well and something that is key, again, in these type of games. Ute Crimson makes a lot of use of what I like to call puzzle boss fights. These are not to imply these boss fights don't have a lot of skill to them, as the rest of the levels do, but there is a mechanic or a method or a pattern to learn from the boss, and once you've observed that pattern or identified the mechanic to use, the boss becomes a lot easier to defeat. So it's not a knockover, but a good example is the first boss that you encounter, the squid monster, is not double jumping. Double jumping will actually cause too much delay in your character and get you killed. If you just single jump and time it really well, this is actually an easier boss to defeat. It's the first boss, it shouldn't be that hard, but it does teach you something in that, you know, don't always double jump. It's not always the right answer. Another great thing that is done in Ute Crimson is the evolution of mechanics. So a mechanic is introduced each level. As you go up, each stage gets a new mechanic, because something new in the world can happen now that you have to react to and deal with. And these start out as obstacles but become advantages later. The second level, you're introduced to wind, and you know, your very first introduction to that is, you know, this is an annoyance, this is an obstacle, I'm just gonna have to like time my jumps around it. But later it becomes a power, it becomes something you use. It's no different than a wall. It's something in the environment that you can use if you have knowledge of the environment to enhance the play of your character. So the wind becomes something that helps you jump, and even at some points you need the wind at your back to make some of the jumps easier. And this ties in again really well with bonus collectibles, you know, just highlighting that, hey, you can get this with the help of the wind. Another thing that I think Ute Crimson is worth deep study on is the first level design. The first level is so key to pull in people into your game, and Ute Crimson does this really well. Like, I think this is worthy of Super Mario Brothers 1-1 level of study. So here is the first level that you start out, and of course, you know, I figure out, hey, this is my jump, this is my attack, and the game tells me this, but the game doesn't tell me I can wall climb. It just naturally happened, and it was forced to happen. There was no other way to do this. So here's an attack, and you know, nothing special about that. As you come up to this wall here and jump over, again you can see the liberal checkpoints. Now this is going to be the last time the game has a strict tutorial here telling you about double jump to get over that. It doesn't explicitly tell you that you can jump and grab this rail, but it leaves you no choice. You have to jump and grab the rail to figure it out, as you have to figure out to use jump to let go of a rail as well. This little section here shows you that you have to time your double jump. If you tap it too fast, you'll hit the wall. This next section, which I'm botching a little bit, is just showing you that, hey, some thin floors you can jump up underneath. And then this last little bit is just a good practice on the things that you've learned as you exit the level and come down here. And there's a nice little bit of sometimes the way forward is down, not what you might expect. And then at the very end here, you know, if you look around a little bit, you're like, hey, that up top, that looks like a thing. There's a bonus coin. There's a reward for exploration. So I think Mute Crimson does this very, very well. And it really does a lot of teaching through the gameplay and subtle involvement of how, you know, it does this through all the levels, not just the first level. And it shows you how to play the game while you're playing the game. And I think that's excellent, excellent game design. That is excellent, excellent level design. And it is something this game does very, very well through the levels that I have made it, which I have made it to the last level, but I haven't beat the last level. So, if you played Xbox Live Indie Games, I'll just sort of finish it out here on what the improvements are. Obviously, the graphics. Here you're looking at the original Mute Crimson. And the graphics and the music are the first thing that you noticed have changed, improved quite a bit. I remembered this game better than it actually was. When I went back and played the original, I was like, wow, this actually did improve a lot. I remember this a lot better, mostly because the gameplay was tight in the original. The level themes remain. The design has improved on the individual levels. The pieces of the levels have sort of been reorganized, touched up a bit, tweaked a bit, some pulled out, new ones added in. So the overall feel of a level is still there, and it's good because they were great the first time, but they have all been refined and tweaked that really make it feel like a new game. So it's worth picking up again, especially if you enjoyed it on Xbox Live Indie Games. Last, the boss fights have changed, but they keep to the mechanics that they had in the first game. I think a great example of this is the second boss, the Moth fight. In the Moth stage, of course, the Moth's wings, or you're led to believe the Moth's wings are causing the wind that you're fighting, and which is a great tie-in, again, of theme to the level design. So the boss fight obviously revolves around dealing with the wind. And in the first one, you know, the Moth kind of bounces around and you dodge these cubes on the ground that the Moth is dropping. In the second, in Mute Crimson Plus, the second boss now is sort of more of a timed jumping puzzle where you're fighting against the wind, and it just hammers home the theme a lot better and a lot cleaner than it did in the first one. So I think overall the bosses have been improved in their design as well. So that is Mute Crimson Plus, just a quick overview of the game and some of the design things that I think it does really, really well. You can pick this game up on Steam. I think it's well worth the price, so thank you for watching.